Hey guys, Loot Wizard here with another Soulforge video for Gems of War, and let's get right into it. Going to the Forge here, we'll check out the weapons first and see what's in here. This Blood Drinker weapon deals damage to an enemy and steals half of their attack. Not really a horrible weapon, but there are better ones out there. I always tell people that if you don't have weapons like Rope Dart and Trickster Shot, you should save up your diamonds and get those first. But for 300 diamonds, this is not a horrible weapon. And Chalice of Eyes is in here. This is actually a decent support weapon. It'll cleanse and give all of your allies life. And then it will summon an all-seeing eye troop. So that's not bad. And you have a weapon here. This weapon deals damage to an enemy. If the enemy's attack is higher, there's a 20% chance to kill them. I don't really like the low chances like that because it's not reliable. You got Screaming Tome here, which is one of these generic weapons that generates mana for a particular troop type or kingdom. This one is Darkstone Allies. So not a bad weapon if you have a full Darkstone team. But, I kind of pass over recommending these types of weapons because there's lots of them. And unless you have a really good set of troops that you can build an awesome team with for that kingdom or that troop type, then it's just not that great. So let's move on to troops then. And I will go over a few of the summoning stones here this time because I did notice there was a couple of good troops in here. I don't think there was anything for blue. Nope. Green. I am going to say that this is a really good support troop, especially if you have an all yellow or an all green team. Choose a color, enchant all allies of that color, give 6 mana to them, boosted by gems of that color. So it's a really good troop to generate mana for your team, especially, like I said, if it's an all yellow team or an all green team. So that's here in the green summoning stones this week. And there was another one in here that I saw somewhere. Here it is. Faunessa. Faunessa is actually a really good troop for support. It does do some damage here, as we'll see. It deals damage to an enemy equal to their attack. So if you're in something like Delves, which the enemy's attack gets really high, then it will do a lot of damage to them. And at the same time, it gives life to all allies based on that attack there. It's boosted by damage dealt. So it's a third of the damage that's dealt is added to all allies as life. And it does start with full mana, so it's really an amazing troop to survive a lot of battles. So that's a good one there. And I don't think there was really anything else here besides those two. But yeah, those two are pretty good, so I'm going to recommend trying to get those this week if you can, if you don't have them. Now, of course, if you're just starting out in the game, it's probably good to just save your summoning stones until later, because you're going to have a good chance of getting those troops and opening keys. But if you're like level 1000 and you still don't have one of those two troops, then it's probably time to start using their summoning stones when they come along like that. So let's take a look here at Legendaries. We have the Spooky Imp. We have Queen Titania. We have Divine Ishbala and Medea. So a couple of good Legendaries here. Divine Ishbala is really good Legendary because it goes well with a couple of other troops. And it transforms red gems to skulls, green gems to yellow, enchant 2 random allies. Allows all divine allies to start with 40% mana. So that's pretty awesome. And one thing here, I think actually this troop, in my opinion, should be buffed to 50% because divine allies are not as powerful as they used to be. And so I think this does deserve a buff to 40%. It's like the only legendary card that gives a boost to starting mana for troops that's at 40%, not 50%. Queen Titania is also a good legendary troop. But, should you craft any of these? I'm going to say no, because you can get these in glory keys fairly easy. In my opinion, they're pretty easy to get. You just got to keep opening glory keys, and they do drop in there. So it's not really worth the 800 diamonds, because you can save that and get yourself a good mythic. Now, as far as the mythics this week, we have Guard's Avatar, Stonehammer, and the Possessed King, and Mistralus. So, the two best mythic troops this week is the Possessed King and Mistralus. And between those two, I love both of them. And honestly, the Possessed King and Mistralus can make really any team better. The Possessed King is mainly used for its final trait here to explode 2 random gems on a 4 or 5 gem match. It does do some spell damage, and then there's 3 separate 20% chance to transform a random enemy into a demon. So, a lot of people use it. I do like it. Mostly, though, I use it for that mana generation. Mistralus, on the other hand, enchants all allies on a 4 or 5 gem match. And it deals 31 splash damage to 1 to 4 random enemies. It jumbles the board, and you gain an extra turn. Now, out of these two, it's very hard for me to decide, I think, which one is better. But at the risk of offending a lot of people or upsetting them, I think I'm going to go with Mistralus. I think Mistralus is a little better than the Possessed King. And to explain my reasoning on that, which, it's just my opinion, but Mistralus, I think, is a little better because it still offers mana generation to your entire team through enchantment. And then also, it does splash damage to random enemies, and it jumbles the board, and it will definitely gain an extra turn. And when it jumbles the board, you could even get an extra turn based on, sometimes it lines the gems up so you can get a 4 or 5 match and get yourself even more extra turns. But besides all that, its damage is just clean. It's splash damage, but it doesn't have any chance to transform enemies. The Possessed King, although sometimes I have had it where it does transform a really horrible, a really dangerous enemy into a soft enemy. There's times, though, where it will transform some weak enemy into a really strong enemy. And it basically kind of negates the damage that it does. So it does damage to all enemies, but then if it transforms one of them, it's like, well, now you have to do damage all over again. And so it could be a little self-defeating as far as finishing off enemies. And so I'm just going to go with Mistralus as the number 1 mythic to craft this week. If you don't have it, especially if you have the Possessed King already, you don't have Mistralus, you should craft Mistralus. But the Possessed King is also very powerful, and I like it a lot. So Mistralus for me is number 1 this week. Possessed King is number 2. And Stonehammer and Guard's Avatar. It's hard to say, but personally, I use Stonehammer more often than Guard's Avatar. But Guard's Avatar does damage, whereas Stonehammer doesn't do any damage. So, in light of that, I'm going to have to say Guard's Avatar is number 3 here this week, and then Stonehammer would be in last place, although Stonehammer is still a really good troop. It's one of the best support troops in the game. But yeah, Mistralus, I think, is number 1 for me this week, and it's a pretty good troop. It makes almost every single team better. So, yeah, that's what I think of the Soulforge there. And now as far as, let's go to the shop here, take a look at the weekly troop. Its name is Yarrow, and we get 2 Arcane Mountain Trait Stones for 400 glory this week. So if you do need that Arcane Trait Stone, now is definitely the time to go ahead and buy it. Buy those Arcane Trait Stones, because they're a little tedious to farm, so buying them like this saves a lot of time. Now, what does this guy actually do? He converts all yellow gems to purple, then create 2 more purple gems for each enemy with a status effect. Actually, that's not bad. Not bad at all. I actually kind of like that. Good mana generator there for purple troops. He doesn't use purple himself, so it's a little bummer, but not a bad troop. So let's go over and check out the current event, which is called Witch's Brew. Later on this week, we have Sieges, which will be starting in 3.5 days. So we'll have 2 events going on this week. But right now we have Witch's Brew, and this is... I already went to the shop and bought up to the place here that I needed to get my medal, and I equipped the medal, and it's 160% spell damage. So that's what we need to do, is create a team for spell damage. Now, this is the troop restrictions is Darkstone. So as long as your troop is from that or your weapon is from that, you will be golden. Now, the thing here is we do have some decent troops for this kingdom. One of my favorite mana generators of all time is in this kingdom, which is Thrall. This guy is amazing. Will destroy gems, and for me, it's up to 40 gems, which is amazing. And Sister of Shadows, since we're doing 160% spell damage, this is a pretty good troop for this because it will deal damage to the 2 weakest enemies. And if the enemy dies, gain an extra turn. Well, the enemy's going to die a lot because you're doing 160% extra spell damage. I put the Watch Mother in there for giving life and all that kind of stuff, but you really don't need him. You can put another damage troop in here, or you could do a mana generating troop like the Possessed King. We also have the Mother of Darkness, so there's 2 different mythic troops available for this kingdom. Mother of Darkness is one of them, and the Possessed King is another. And then for legendaries, we have Gruz the Undefeated, Magnus, Scion, and Zardor. Those are pretty much all the legendaries there. But this guy does mostly skull damage. Magnus would be pretty good, though. It does damage to all enemies. Gruz the Undefeated is never defeated because he's never used. He's horrible. So yeah, that's that. And so there's some other there's a few other good troops in here. Sister of Shadows, though, I think is one of the better ones to use. But definitely for a mana generator, Thrall is the way to go. He is the best. So yeah, you got a couple options there. And then for weapons, we have Essence of Evil, which is amazing, but it's not going to... For mana generation, it's amazing. Yeah, Jar of Eyes, which is great for mana generation. I'm using Black Manacles because it does spell damage to all enemies. So I really like that. So for spell damage right now, I'm just relying on Sister of Shadows and my Manacles. But I don't really... You know, you could use the Mother of Darkness if you have it. It does true damage, creates purple gems. It also has a chance to summon 2 Sister of Shadows, which is this right here. But this is what I've been going here. As far as, like, class, you could really use anything. I'm just trying to level up some classes that I don't have at 100 yet, and Hierophant is one of them, so I've been using that. But yeah, I like the Black Manacles in this event. Plus, it has a 20% Devour chance. So that's always pretty awesome. So Thrall is already up, and we can go ahead and do that and cast this, and bam, we get an extra turn because enemies died. So I really like that about that troop. I really do. I don't really use Sister of Shadows that often. It's actually a pretty decent troop, but it's really events like this that make some of these troops that you don't use that often really shine, because it's just... Like, they're going to do way more damage in this kind of event than they would normally. And I think that's pretty awesome that, you know, we can use some of these troops that we don't use that often in these events because you get this really high damage boost. But, yeah, so a team like this and Black Manacles, pretty much everybody's got it because it's, I think it's a weapon you get just playing the game normally. I think you get to a certain... part in the game and you just get the weapon. That's what I remember. So and everybody should have Sister of Shadows. Like, it's not even a legendary troop. So I think that, and Thrall is like a common troop. So this team right here, other than the Possessed King, is like very, very low cost as far as rarity of troops and weapon. So I like it. And this is a pretty powerful team here. Thrall is absolutely amazing for mana generation. I use it all the time. because it has a very low mana cost. It's only 6 mana to power up Thrall, and it already has Magic Link, gives you a bonus to purple. And then if you do a double purple banner, like all you pretty much have to do is match a 1/3 match of purple, and Thrall is fully powered up. And then all you got to do is just uh, cast it, generate all that mana for your team, and repeat. Like I love it. So yeah, I think this team's gonna take me pretty far. Although I might experiment a little bit with the Mother of Darkness and try that out a little bit instead of just using the Possessed King. But Possessed King is interesting. So that's about it for this video. I think the Soulforge video, going over the event, what I think of what's going on there with some of the troops and weapons you can use. And yeah, there's really nothing else going on here this week until we get to the next event here in 3.5 days. Sieges will start. So if I have time, I might create a video for that. Although I might not have time for that one though, because in 3 days I'm going on a short 5-day vacation from work, and we'll be out of town for those 5 days. So I might not actually be here to make the video for next week's Soulforge either, because I'm going to be out of town for 5 days there past the weekend, and won't be back until Monday night or Tuesday sometime next week. So just to give you guys a heads up on that's probably, I'll probably have to do a delayed Soulforge video for next week. But yeah, I appreciate you guys a lot. Thanks for watching my videos and commenting on them, and I really appreciate it. Thank you, and I'll catch you on the next video. Later.